Presidents pushing numerous federal solutions to pandemic, including onerous vaccines mandate rule. President Biden, on a call with governors on Monday, said he agreed with two GOP state executives that there is no one-size-fits-all approach to mitigate COVID-19, even as his administration is pushing major federal solutions to the pandemic that nearly 2 years hold. Biden made a comment after Arkansas Republican Governor Asa Hutchinson, who is the chair of the National Governors Association, cautioned the president against taking action that may step on states' toe as they aim to fight.
They said, thank you very much, Ace. Look, there is no federal solution. This gets solved at a state level. I'm looking at Governor Sununu on the board here. He talks about that a lot. And it ultimately gets down to where the rubber meets the road, and that's where the patient is in need of help or preventing the need for help. Look, Gov, thank you for what you're doing. Thank you for the National Governors Association and Vice Chair Murphy across the river. All's well in New Jersey, I assume, Gov.
Amen, Mr. President.
And here today, Democrats and Republicans, we've discussed the rising COVID cases, especially coming out of the holidays. And as I said last week, Omicron is a source of concern, but it should not be a source of panic. If you're fully vaccinated, you get your booster shot, and you're highly protected. If you're unvaccinated, you're at a high risk of getting severely ill from COVID-19, being hospitalized, and in rare cases, even dying. And this is not like March of 2020, the beginning of the pandemic. We're prepared and we know what it takes to save lives, protect people, and keep schools and businesses open. We just have to stay focused and continue to work together. My message to the governor is simple. If you need something, say something. And we're going to have your back in any way we can. Last week, we took steps to bolster support for you with, number one, more capacity to get shots in arms. With more places, more vaccinators, more times for folks to get vaccinated or get a booster shot. And we've added appointments for booster shots, adding hours, getting more convenient to get a booster every day. The second thing we're doing is more testing. Seeing how tough it was for some folks to get a test this weekend shows that we have more work to do, and we're doing it. First, let's talk about how we got here. When I took office we were 10 months into the pandemic, and even so, we had zero over-the-counter home tests in the United States, none. And if you wanted to get one, to get a test, you had to go to a clinic or a drugstore to have someone give you the test, and there were very few places to go. So we got to work. We quadrupled the number of pharmacies offering a free test, and there are now more than 20,000 places where you can get tested for free. At many locations, you can book an appointment online in advance to minimize your wait. We've worked with Google, so you can now search COVID test near me on Google to find a location. And now I know the lines have gotten very long in some states. That's why I ordered FEMA to set up pop-up sites in places with high demand to shorten the wait. We stood up 6 new sites in New York City in 5 days, and there are more coming. For over-the-counter at-home tests, as I said, there were none when we took office, none. Now we have 8 on the market, and just 3 days ago, another test was cleared. We went from no over-the-counter tests in January to 46 million in October, 100 million in November, and almost 200 million in December. But it's not enough. It's clearly not enough. If we'd known, we would have gone harder, quicker if we could have. Because steps we have to be taken to increase the number of authorized tests, we're now able to purchase 500 million at-home rapid tests to be sent to the American people for free when they request it. And we're going to continue to use the Defense Production Act to produce as many tests as possible. And starting in 2 weeks, private insurance will reimburse you for the cost of at-home tests. We're providing access to free tests for folks who don't have insurance. But we have to do more. We have to do better, and we will. The third point I'd like to make is more support for your hospitals. On hospitalizations, let me start with this. Because we have had so many vaccinated and boosted, we're not seeing hospitalizations rise as sharply as we did in March of 2020, or even this past fall. America had made progress. Things are better. But we do know that with the rising cases, we still have tens of millions of unvaccinated people, and we're seeing hospitalizations rise. It means our hospitals in some places are going to get overrun, but in terms of equipment, both in terms of equipment and staff. That's why we stockpiled and pre-positioned millions of gowns, gloves, masks, and ventilators. We're mobilizing an additional 1,000 military doctors and nurses and medics to help staff hospitals. FEMA is deploying hundreds of ambulances and EMS crews to transport patients. We've already deployed emergency response teams in Colorado, Michigan, Minnesota, Vermont, New Hampshire, and New Mexico. We're ready to provide more hospital beds as well. The bottom line is we want to assure the American people that we're prepared. We know what it takes. And as this group of bipartisan governors has shown, we're going to get through it by working together. I want to thank the governors for their partnership, and I mean that sincerely. With that, I'm going to turn it back over to Jeff, and I understand you guys may have some questions. Jeff?
Good. I think we're going to clear the press first.